2 weeks ago on March 8th, I, just like many others, woke up to the news of the death of Akira Toriyama, a writer and creator of Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, and other great influential pieces of media. And ever since, I've been trying to find the right words to accurately express exactly what and how much Akira Toriyama's work meant to me. But to be fair, I'm not sure I could ever put into words just how much Dragon Ball specifically impacted my life and me as a person in general. I mean, just looking at the internet these past weeks, you can see how much Akira Toriyama's work meant to so many people. I spent the last 2 weeks watching all these videos of all these people expressing their love for Dragon Ball and explaining their own personal experience with the series. Just so many people that have all these beautiful things to say about Dragon Ball. Big and small YouTubers alike wanting to say their part, making musical tributes, trying to convey what Dragon Ball meant to them. And besides the personal influence Toriyama had on all of us individually, there's a societal aspect to the influence of Dragon Ball that just cannot be understated. Dragon Ball's cultural influence simply cannot be gauged. From anime and manga to Western TV shows to video games to sports, Dragon Ball Z is referenced so often that we sometimes forget we're referencing Dragon Ball Z. When I initially heard the news of the death of Akira Toriyama, oddly enough, I actually wasn't all that fazed by it. It was only after I started watching other people expressing their feelings on Toriyama's death that I started lingering on my own thoughts considering his passing. And after a while, I realized why it was that it didn't affect me that much. It's because I dissociated all of Toriyama's creative achievements from his person. You know when an artist makes a piece of art so great, so influential, that you start to disconnect it from the artist and start to see it as something bigger? That's what Toriyama did with Dragon Ball. I had forgotten that behind Dragon Ball Z, behind these characters I aspire to be like, behind these iconic scenes that I can still quote word for word, behind this groundbreaking piece of fiction that made up such a large part of my own childhood, there was still an actual person who conceived, wrote, and executed the entirety of it. Dragon Ball Z is a piece of my own personal history. Without it, I maybe would have never gotten into fiction as a whole the way I'm into it now. It was my introduction not just to anime, but one of my entry points to the whole of recreational media. Dragon Ball Z taught me English. My dad pirated the episodes for me in the English dub when I was like 9, but of course there weren't any Dutch subtitles, so as I watched the show I just had to figure out the meaning of the words by means of relating the events in the episode to the text. Safe to say, it helped the development of my understanding of the language, which allowed me to introduce myself to other foreign media, specifically YouTubers and YouTube videos. Am I saying Dragon Ball Z is single-handedly responsible for my current aspirations to become a YouTuber? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. The ripples of the butterfly effect are always immeasurable, and for me, that butterfly is called Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z showed me so many moments that will stay with me forever. Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time, the badass appearance of Trunks and his confrontation with Goku, shattering the barrier of the power scaling of the previous season entirely, Vegeta's struggle and eventual awesome success to turn Super Saiyan, the training in the hyperbolic time chamber, and the climactic subversion of it ultimately being Gohan who ends up blasting Cell to dust. Even the Buu saga has some unforgettable moments. I can still quote every Majin Vegeta speech word for word, bar for bar. In fact, this fight between Goku and Vegeta might be one of my favorite fights from the whole show. The depth and meaning of this fight that had been endlessly postponed, and as a viewer you always kept yearning for, lent so much more weight and power to every single punch. But I think one of my all-time favorite Dragon Ball Z scenes has to be when Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 for the first time. Goku going Super Saiyan 3 is a scene that in my opinion will always be one of the coolest scenes in all of Dragon Ball. In it, Goku shocks everyone by unveiling his hidden power, a power that even he is hesitant to use. Every Z fighter, every character we know, even the villains are all astounded as Goku pushes himself to his utmost limits, putting out so much energy that the world itself starts to tremble, shaking the foundation of the earth with his transformation, buildings cracking, electric circuits exploding, every Z fighter as shocked as the next that Goku had this kind of power in him, that he once again found a way to surpass everyone in an even grander way than before. The rest of humanity in uproar and chaos being ignorant to the cause of these earthquakes and cataclysms, and Goku screaming his lungs out, just being so focused on this transformation transformation that brings him back to his Saiyan ancestry until eventually he releases all this power in a blazing light and... His transformation is complete, and all you can do is just stand in awe of this new form, the strongest transformation yet, the pinnacle of Saiyan power, at least until Super came along. I know this is going to sound like I'm making it up, but the night of the announcement of Toriyama's death, I actually dreamt about Dragon Ball, specifically about Goku's 100 times gravity training on his way to Namek. I remember it because it all felt so symbolic to me. Goku's gravity training was one of my favorite sequences out of all of Dragon Ball Z as a kid. A training so intense that when he eventually emerges from his ship, he's so far beyond everyone else in strength that he just effortlessly wrecks the Ginyu Force in record time. When I was a kid, I always wanted to copy Goku's training. I was always so motivated by the gravity training scenes especially. Now, obviously, I didn't train my body all that heavily because it just isn't very healthy as a child, but I did always do a daily set of 25 consecutive push-ups and 50 sit-ups. I did all these sports and always tried training my body in an attempt to be just like Goku, to be just as strong, just as agile, to have just as much endurance, to one day be just as powerful as him, to one day become a Super Saiyan myself. To this day, one of the main reasons I'm always in somewhat decent shape is because of that morality of Dragon Ball Z. The reason I don't really drink or smoke at all and always try to stay in shape is for a large part still attributable to Dragon Ball Z, a show that glamorized strength and physical health and made it look cool, stressing its importance without being preachy, which is a tough thing to do. And while I've obviously grown up since my obsession with Dragon Ball and Goku and his training, and while I'm maybe not actively trying to become a Super Saiyan anymore, I'm still sort of trying to become the metaphorical equivalent of it. Dragon Ball Z deeply instilled that drive in me to always be better, to always try and step up to the next level, to push myself to become the best I can be and go beyond, to shock the world by showing what I'm truly capable of. And that is something I'm still very much planning on doing. Characters like Goku and Vegeta inspired me to push myself to the edge of my limits and beyond them. And even if the meaning of that phrase has somewhat changed to me over the years, it's a morality that will stay with me always. And that's what makes Dragon Ball Z truly special. Dragon Ball Z made my childhood. It was literally all I thought about at times. I can't count the amount of times I tried to fire a Kamehameha or go Super Saiyan in the backyard. It came to the point that our neighbors started making noise complaints. And while I'm maybe not doing that anymore, I mean, maybe once or twice when no one's looking, this show has stuck with me since then. It's been over a decade, but this show had such a large impact on me as a kid that I'm still carrying it with me. I suck at drawing, but to this day, the only thing I'm somewhat decent at drawing are Super Saiyans, just because I used to do it so much when I was sitting in class as a kid. Dragon Ball Z's effect on me will never fade, and I'm sure the same counts for so many others. Toriyama may have passed on, but this world he created, all of his characters, all of his jokes, all of these awesome plots, all of these iconic scenes he wrote into existence, they will live on forever, and they will continue to inspire, shape, and motivate so many people, myself very much included. So thank you, Toriyama. Thank you for Dragon Ball. Thank you for Goku. Thank you for everything. Good night.